Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel today with another deck profile about I guess you could call it a Salamangreat Cyberse deck profile. Not really sure what to call it because it's kind of it evolved out of my different Cyberse kind of deck profile that I did on the channel. So check that out if you're interested in pure Cyberse builds with the tiny Salamangreat engine splashed in to get more monsters on board. But this one is more focused on the actual playstyle of Salamangreat. I can already say this is for you guys that want to have an alternative for the whole like, okay, I'm just going to put 12 hand traps in my deck and have an engine that is a one card engine that gets me going with like one or two negates and then a hand trap my opponent to affinity. This is somewhat if you like Salamangreat but you don't want to do that. So I feel like I'll talk about the pros and cons of this deck somewhat at the end, and I'll start with talking about which card I chose, which card you could choose if you want to, and why I chose what card. First of all, I run double Degrade Buster. You can bump the card down to 1 if you want to. I really like the card because first of all, it's a fire monster, so even if you go into stuff like Mirage Stalio, you can still use the effect of this card. Mainly good for either going second or actually if your opponent plays stuff like, I don't know, things with high attack. Like if it's not an instant monster negate, if it's like a spell trap card negate with high attack, then Endymion, Master of Endymion, for example, that works against that kind of card. And there's some cards where this card can come in handy as a last resort of like some kind of disruption, because you can banish a monster during your opponent's turn, which is a quick effect, but it has to be monster with higher attack than this card. So 2,600. Yes, there's obviously a few targets, but a lot of them can only already negate. So yeah, you have to watch out since that's not on summon or anything. Your opponent can respond to that one, but still, I think the card itself is pretty neat in the deck and can help you out of some pickles, plus adds an extra body to your board. You don't have to play it at 2, but I feel like at 2 the card was pretty neat. 1 Jaguar could play 2, but I feel like 1 is fair enough. You play enough cards that you can send to the graveyard, so I feel like the card is about fair play. 1 foul because it's quite easy. You could play 2 fouls actually if you want to. Gives you more options in case of a rank 4 engine if you want to tweak the extra deck a little bit, because the extra deck in my opinion isn't final. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this deck and that you could play, so I feel like double foul wouldn't hurt too much. 1 Lady Debugger or Lady Debug because, well, you can search all kinds of things. You can search obviously stuff like Gazelle is searchable, Spinny is searchable, Microcoder is searchable with this card, so that helps you. And if you already have all your cards, backup secretary, searchable, all those kind of things that help you go off a little bit more. Balancer Lord basically is a rank 4 engine in the deck, just adds another body on board, which is quite nice. Can be banished and special summon another monster out of your graveyard, which works with stuff like Degrade Buster, or basically only Degrade Buster. Still, I like the card. You can tweak the numbers a little bit as well if you only want to play 2, but I feel like an extra Abyss Dweller on board or whatsoever never hurt you that much either. 1 Salamangreat Falco helps with going into rank 4s, for example, because you already have a level 4 more in the deck. Then also can recover certain cards from the graveyard if it's your Rage, if it's your Roar, if it's which Roar basically recovers itself, so probably not, or if it's even Will of the Salamangreat, so that card actually comes in handy quite a lot. The special summon effect, I mean, works on stuff like Spinny if you for whatever reason normal summon it. Yeah, can come in handy. Other than that, you know, you probably know how to play Salamangreat by now. They've been around for quite a while, so that should not be the problem. 1 Gazelle, because you can only play 1, but there's a lot of stuff to send to the graveyard. If it's not Spinny or a Rage or a Roar, then it's going to be Jaguar or whatever. There's a lot of stuff to send to the graveyard that plus off of that card, so Gazelle definitely a must. And double Flame Buffalo. You have a few cards that you want to be normal summoning, stuff like Lady Debug and Salamangreat Foxy. Well, that's about it. And I felt like 2 Flame Buffalo in the deck makes sense because there are some Cyberse cards that you have that work from the graveyard. Being able to discard them is kind of neat. And then plus and off of that, Flame Buffalo being able to you can chain it with the whole veilings kind of stuff as well. So what you want not to be Ash Blossomed, you can do that as well. You want to play the card at 3, play it at 3. I feel like at 2 it was fine, but obviously at 3 that still works out. Backup Secretary, level 3 card, Cyberse monster. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to go into stuff like Mirage Stalio, for example, or in general, just adding another body on to the board. Spinny, well, I don't think I have to say much to that card either. Special summon itself, discards itself as well, so pretty neat. And even if you don't start with the Salamangreat combos or whatever, you can always use any kind of Cyberse level 4 lower monster to go into Veilings, and then then you have one Spinny on board basically. Foxy, search any kind of cards. You have a lot of Salamangreat cards in the deck, so should be hitting one card 8 or 9 out of 10 times basically. Obviously you can miss, but yeah, still the card has a good enough effect to special summons itself from the graveyard sometimes. If you need stuff like Falco, Jack Jagger in the graveyard or Spinny, then this card works fine. Sea Archiver, neat card, level 3, helps you as well, helps you in the graveyard, so that's kind of neat if you discard it for stuff like Flame Buffalo, for example, then that can be quite nice. Other than that, just a one name more on the board. A double Ash Blossom, you could play a triple, you could probably switch out one card if you don't really want to run it, if you want to really run it at 3, because the card is quite important to the deck. I felt like since you want to do as much as possible, if you actually draw into 2 of them, then it's kind of brickier in a sense, and I felt like, yeah, it's also budget deck profile. The card is still worth like what, 5 quid or whatever, so I feel like 2 is fine in the deck, but obviously if you want to play more. But that deck was kind of trying to focus more on the not so super hand trap spammy kind of way, but since you can recover them with Sunlight Wolf, at least 2 Ash Blossoms I would play. Cyberse Converter, a card that I think is pretty neat in the deck, not necessarily the best, but I think it still works, getting one more body on board. Same for Catch Eve L2. This card can be problematic because it could kind of stop you from going into Mirastalio, so if you want to swap it out and run like one more backup secretary or whatever, that is fine. Link Infra Flare, same thing. If you don't want to run it, then don't run it, but I think the card is pretty good. Trigger stuff like Sunlight Wolf and whatsoever, so I feel like the card in general, not too bad. Microcoder, a card that I really like in the deck. If you ever get to normal summon it or special summon it for whatever weird reasons, and go into a Code Talker monster, you can search level 4 or no, just a level 4 Cyberse monster to your hand instead of a Signet card. Other than that, what you can search is, and will search most of the time, Signet Conflict, because it adds another negate to your hand. You only run it at 2 because it's first of all searchable, second of all once per turn, so if you have 2 of them in your hand, not that great, so wouldn't play that card at 3. Could play it at 1, but then on the other hand, you're kind of lacking some cards. I mean, could play then a second Roar for it, so you have more chances of hard drawing into Reach, and Roar could be, but sometimes you're missing out on the chance of getting Cyanide Conflict then, which will mainly be used with stuff like Chance Code Talker, could be used for the normal Code Talker as well. If you really run out of resources or you get hand trapped super hard, then that works out as well. It's not too hard to set up the trap, or use the effect of Microcoder for that reason. Another card you could search was I included because another card isn't out yet. You could technically go for Signet Codec, but it's not that great. Obviously, Signet Mining, if you can afford the card, pretty neat. Not stopping you from running this card 3 anyway in the deck, but since this is a budget deck profile, yeah, Signet Mining didn't really have any reason to be here. And another card that if it comes out you could play instead of the Signet Fusion is Signet Crosswipe, because you contribute on Cyberse monster, target 1 card on the field, destroy it. Not too bad. Certain cards get actually effects of that. You can recover them. It's not too bad of a card. So if this card comes out, then I would say play Signet Crosswipe over Signet Fusion. Signet Fusion better if you go in second, helps you get access to Violet Chimera, and if you don't have a monster in your extra monster zone, which can happen sometimes, there's how you can make that happen. You actually don't have to use a lot of the material, so I feel like the card can be pretty nice in the deck. Then Caught by the Grave, obviously you're playing a deck that doesn't want to be hand trapped, and if you have the space for the card, play the card. Also could be another disruption during your opponent's turn for some decks. That is quite crucial that they resolve certain effects in the graveyard, and if you then shut them down, that can be quite nice as well. Salamangreat Circle, a nice card to search out any card they want, mostly stuff like Gazelle. If you already happen to have Gazelle, probably going for Spinny. That's probably the targets you search the most. Salamangreat Heat recovers a lot of stuff from your graveyard. Really nice. So I think the card is, or Wolf Salamangreat. Hate the OCG names for that. They don't print it still on the card name. Always gets me confused. But this card obviously pretty nice to establish some board presence. And Salamangreat Sanctuary is searchable still. Bailings is around. So that card at 1 definitely a must. Double Rage, because I think Rage is a little bit stronger these days than Roar, but obviously you can play double Roar and only on Rage if you want to, but I feel like Rage works out better. Rage they can't shut down as much because you always might still have a Salamangreat monster in your hand that you can discard and still get rid of one card at least your opponent has. Which Roar, if they get rid of your link monsters, then they know they're safe from that card. So I feel like Rage a little bit better in that kind of sense, but Roar can shut them down harder in a sense as well. And already talked about Sign of Conflict. Kind of like the card. You have to control a Code Talker monster, so it's somewhat the same as Roar, but different. Technically, with the combo that you'll be doing most, Trans Code Talker reviving Sunlight Wolf will get you both. So if you have both cards, that is still pretty neat. But also the nice effect of that card is that it gets banished and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same original name as the card that was banished until the end of the next turn. So shuts down your opponent quite a lot. It's actually quite a potent trap card, so I felt like really including this card. For the extra deck, Violet Chimera for the OTK with Silent Fusion. Abyss Dweller, one of the best rank 4s at the moment. Obviously, you can't play any other rank 4 that you want to. Mirage Stalio, because rank 3s other than Mirage Stalio kind of aren't as strong as the rank 4, so only Mirage Stalio, but you can obviously get stuff like Gazelle out with this card. Topologic Bomber Dragon, technically another turn one play or another play that follow up play next turn. If you only mediumly, like minorly shut down your opponent, then you can go into Bomber Dragon, trigger the effects possibly, and go for OTKs or board wipe as well. I decided to run on X-Code Talker because it protects, it gives more attack, helps you with OTK, can disable zones. Especially the problematic thing is that Transcode Talker gives your opponent a zone, so you kind of want to watch what you're doing with this sometimes. So being able to disable that zone with Xcode Talker can be quite crucial, but can actually screw up certain Xcode Talker can screw up certain decks like the Dragon Link if they can't use a certain zone and you know that, then that card isn't actually too bad. Obviously, you can play any other card if you want to. Double Heat Leo, don't have to play it, but I felt like it's still a Salamangreat deck, so I felt like the card was kind of necessary. Don't have to run it though, I feel like that's up to preference. Transcode Talker could run too because the effect is pretty strong in this deck, plus the card looks super cool in my opinion. Update Jammer for OTKs. Gets you a lot of stuff going. Could also play stuff like Flame Administrator. It's a fire card, so works more if you want to go into Heat League at one point. Also, all linked monster you control gain 800 attack, which can be super strong and can come in clutch in the end. So if you want to run that card, feel free to. Triple Sunlight Wolf, probably the most expensive card in the deck at the moment. Still, you can cut one, but I think this card at 3 is probably better. I already cut down on one Bailings because the extra deck space is kind of tight. I never felt like I needed more than 2 of them, because you can shuffle them back. Yeah, the protection effect is kind of crucial, and still I felt like 2 were fine, but you can swap the ratios the way you want to. I don't feel super comfortable owning you running 2 Bailings, but it's you can survive on 2 Bailings because you have effects that shuffle them back, like stuff like Jaguar, like the Sunlight Wolf, which yeah, get them back if you don't already banish them for the effect. So if you really need to summon the card, and 2 protections should be enough as well most of the time. I barely had any moment where I was like, oh damn it, I would have needed a third one. But if you feel like 3 are better, then obviously kick some other cards out of the extra deck. One Code Talker if everything fails and you can only go into Code Talker for whatever reason with Microcoder, and then just set up your negate. Basically, it's like a 2-card combo. You need Microcoder and any summonable Cyberse monster in hand, and you have one negate. So I feel like that is pretty strong as well. For other cards that you could run Widget Kit. Unbricks your hand, but most cards can special summon themselves, so not much of a problem. If you love Salamangreat cards, Mirror works somewhat-ish, because discarding one of the Salamangreat cards, special summoning it can help sometimes, but I feel like since it's not level 3, didn't really bother running it. Mo could shuffle 5 Salamangreat cards from your graveyard back into the deck, draw 2 cards, can come in clutch in the later stages of the game. Felt like unnecessary. Pyro Phoenix was a little bit too expensive for me yet for a budget deck profile, since you kind of need 2 of it and the extra deck space was kind of tight. Obviously, if you want to play it, swap it in for Heat Leo, for example, then that works as well. Trigate Wizard if you really don't want to play Xcode Talker and you want kind of those linked arrows, because they can be quite nice. It's fairly easy in the deck to actually go into get the second effect going. The third effect, probably not. Let's be completely honest. I mean, stuff like Bailings and Transcode Talk and whatever, make it happen if you really try for it, but just for one negate, that is a lot of effort, and I felt like didn't come up as much. Silent Mining if you have it, Silent Crosswipe if it comes out. Codec could be, but don't have to. Could run Salamangreat Gift. That's it about the deck profile. Hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter because I get really into the decks and like talking about them. I like giving multiple options, like talking about why I choose which card, what else you could play, so you see my thought process a little bit. But yeah, that can drag out the deck profile a little bit longer than it has to. I'm trying to upload some replays, so subscribe to the channel if you're here for that. And I hope you're having a good day.